These prizes are no joke.
I mean, they are kind of a joke now that we're not allowed to travel anywhere, but...
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Quick Drag. Today we are reviewing episode 5 of Canada's Drag Race, and I'm here with the amazing, from London, Ontario, it's Nicki Nastasia. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you so much for being here. I take it you had a chance to watch the episode?
Absolutely.
Then let's get right into it. The girls come back into the workroom after Tainomi leaves, and Alona is still a mess. She's still crying.
So messy. She's like emotional. She just could not handle it.
I can only imagine being in the bottom would be very heavy. It'd be a lot of weight, but she is crumbling under the pressure.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I would be the same way. I feel like I would go into it being like, I've got this. And then one bad critique, I was like, yeah, fully.
Fair enough. They come into the workroom the next day. Lemon talks about how tensions were very high last week, and Alona talks about how she was planning to walk out when the music started for the lip sync after they convinced her to lip sync. And
that was like, no, girl, thousands of queens auditioned for this show, and now you're gonna say you're just gonna stand there and give up? Like, no, give it your all. Like, come on.
Exactly. You go into this competition knowing that you have to beat everyone else to get to the end. So if you're not willing to give it, why are you there?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it was that easy to like defeat you.
Well, Pri is not about it. She's like, don't you play the victim card. Don't do it. We know what we're here for. Don't be that girl. And apparently the tensions are still high this week.
I think this is like the point of the show where like girls start to realize like, oh shit, this is where the stuff is hitting the fan. It's either a make or break. Like, we cannot be sliding under the radar anymore.
You could have one bad day and you could be the one going home. So really it's anyone's game.
Accurate.
Luckily, this tension is broken with the message from RuPaul, who gives us a lot of Celine Dionisms. They go into the mini challenge, which is the reading challenge, which is always a bit of a fan favorite. Who stood out to you? Were there any jabs that you found particularly good?
I knew going into it last week, Lemon did really great on the rap challenge, so I knew that she was going to be very quick with her words and very, very clever, so I was not surprised that she did well. Canadians always get this, like, we're always so nice, let's break it up a bit, and no one was really, like, overtly, like, mean or shady, which I was kind of disappointed by.
I'm always excited about the reading challenge, and then I always feel like there's a few reads that are really land, and a lot that don't. I felt like Lemon did a great job. Rita did really well. Also, Rita reading Brooklyn was particularly fantastic.
That is very smart. If you can read the host or one of the judges very well and make it like funny and not like mean, then I feel like you have pushed the button up far enough where it's like, I'm here to play, but I'm not like also trying to sabotage myself for the runway.
Right. I think it really worked because nobody was really expecting it. They were all reading each other, and then at the very end, and maybe a Canadian will win Drag Race.
This time.
Ooh, sorry, Brooke. So the winner of the mini challenge is Lemon. Well done, Lemon.
Very well deserved.
Then it is announced that the Maxi challenge is going to be the Snatch Game. Another fan favorite. I feel like this whole episode was kind of overwhelmingly things that people love.
I feel like this is the episode we've been waiting for as Canadians. Like, this is what is really going to push this show into like the canon sphere of like Drag Race, whether it's like Drag Race US or All Stars or Thailand. Like, having Snatch Game and the reading challenge in one episode just really pushes it there, which I was here for.
Yeah, I think the key to this is kind of picking a character that you can really do anything with, which I feel like some people paint themselves into a box, which I think we see a little bit later here with some of the choices that the girls make.
Like celebrities that are too well known. It's like you need to pick someone like obscure enough that you can make stuff up about them, but not so obscure that like no one is gonna get it.
So Jeffrey Boyer-Chapman walks into the workroom and he does a little bit of a walkthrough and checks in with the queens to see what they will be doing for a Snatch Game.
I feel like a lot of the girls were like, I want to pick something that like no one has ever done before.
Kiara picking Mariah Carey.
Like people like Mariah, Lady Gaga, Beyonce. It's like, I feel like they're almost like too iconic that you can't really like touch on them comedically because they almost like, you're afraid to be too mean or you like them way too much for it to be funny for you to really go in on it. So it just like, it always ends up being such a flop.
Also, I felt like Alona's choice was an interesting one because obviously it was very of the moment at the time they were filming it, but there hasn't really necessarily been a ton of longevity to that particular character.
Which is, I think that's why Lemon did so well, because JoJo Siwa is on that like middle ground where it's like, knowing who JoJo Siwa is, even some of the girls didn't know who JoJo Siwa was. So it's like...
It doesn't really matter in the end.
It didn't matter.
Boa seemed to be having trouble picking a character. She had a few options. She had Cyndi Lauper, she was thinking about Rebel Wilson, and then Gypsy Rose as well, which she ended up going with. Do you think she picked the right character?
No. Like, at all. The thing with Gypsy Rose is that it's hard to do because it's a scandalous story and it was already a controversy, and so I think it's already kind of like iffy on what you can and what you can't say. When it comes to characters like that, either it's going to be amazing or it's going to be a flop. And I felt like that was kind of the theme for this first Snatch Game for Canada's Drag Race. Either the girls did amazing and we laughed and my stomach was hurting laughing, or I was just straight up confused by why you chose that character.
And I feel like some of them as well had potential to be great characters, like Priyanka choosing Miss Cleo, someone that you can really do a lot with. So as they're going into the Snatch Game, there's a little kind of red carpet moment with Tracy Melchor outside. I love that idea because I feel like it's another way to get an aspect of who each of these characters are. But I felt like it was really, really short. Like, I didn't feel like there was anything there.
I kind of wish that Snatch Game would be red carpet interviews. Like, imagine the Snatch Game, but on a red carpet. So each time the character would have to walk by, they're being interviewed by an E-News correspondent. You know, I thought that would be almost like a more, like, realistic play on a lot of the celebrities walking a red carpet.
I wish they had extended that segment a little bit more, given us a bit more of it. I thought that was so clever and different, and I just wish they did a bit more of it.
Just changing Snatch Game up a bit. I love when they like make Snatch Game a bit different or change the rules a bit, you know, keep us on our toes.
Yeah, and they could have done both and had both elements. So they go into Snatch Game, and who was really delivering for you?
For me, it was Lemon. Jimbo was really giving it to me. I really did think that Boa had a lot of really funny one-liners, little movements and stuff that really gave to the character, but I just feel like it was not big enough compared to the other big characters on the panel. When you're going up against these other queens doing big characters, you really have to be stepping it up. Yeah, a lot of the girls just couldn't keep up.
True, there were definitely standouts, and then there were definitely people that were kind of like fading into the wallpaper. Lemon for me was my absolute favorite.
It was so good. The wig like that was set back so you could see that her ponytail was like making her hair lost. There were so many little clever things. You would see that like Lemon really did her research to know who JoJo Siwa is and like really play the character. It was just so well done.
She had me laughing, and I know who JoJo Siwa is and I know a little bit about her, but like I don't know a lot about her. But it doesn't matter because Lemon was delivering a fully fleshed out character. Also, Jimbo was great.
I feel like too, Joan Rivers would be someone that would be down for it. I feel like she'd be like, go for it, read me, like make me look like an idiot. She's someone who would be totally down for that comedic spin on her personality and her character that like, I feel like she was giving a little hats-off applause for Jimbo.
Yeah, I hope so. Rita was good. Rita is one of those characters, she was doing Edith Piaf, who I don't know a ton about, but she was delivering a fully fleshed out character, and it was funny, it was good.
Yeah, she was just so in character from the moment she stepped on that stage to the moment the segment ended. I did not see one thing of Rita. I just saw that character. Like, it was so well done. Like, if you could really give like those tiny little like well-known bits about the character, so good.
And if you can like roll with the punches too. Some of the funniest moments in Snatch Game are when people interact with the other contestants and find ways to like poke at them or like say something from their character.
You know exactly what the character would say in that moment. Like, that's how you win Snatch Game.
The next day, the queens come into the workroom. It is Elimination Day. Priyanka talks about that like she did the worst Canadian Snatch Game ever. Of course, it's the first season. And Alona comes back at her saying, stop playing the victim, which Pri said to Alona at the beginning of the episode.
I mean, Alona, haven't you been doing that this whole season?
Like, Jimbo talks a little bit about being judged when he was in school for being gay, being a little bit more feminine, and that he didn't fit in, but that he realized that with humor, he was able to kind of connect with people, start to make friends. Priyanka and Kiara talk a little bit about seeking approval from father figures, and Kiara talks about hoping that she gets a little bit of that because she wants her father to be able to see her drag as a passion and a career and not just like a fun thing that she does.
It's hard to have like acceptance from our family because a lot of the times they don't start accepting us until they see like that drag and being queer can be successful.
Being gay is one thing and coming out to your parents. Being drag is just like that again. it seems like.
Yeah.
It's like
100%,
another level
like-
of coming out, essentially. Our guest host is Mary Walsh. We move on to the runway, which is Night of 1,000 Celines. The girls are all instructed to give their best Celine Dion look for the runway. Boa is first out on the runway. What did you think about her look?
I like that it was like the Met Gala moment. I think that there was way too much fringe, but it kind of erased her body. And Boa has a super amazing curvy body, and I think that bodysuit with the fringe could have totally showed it off. It needed to be thinned out a little bit more to make it more accurate to the actual Met Gala look, I think.
I thought her makeup was stunning. She looked really beautiful. But yeah, it was a bit too much fringe. If you were looking to replicate the look, it missed on that mark. Next up on the runway was Scarlett, and she was giving a little Paris Fashion Week look.
I liked it. I really, really liked the dress. I love the color on her. I think that like champagne nude color, and then that very similar hair with a slick back pony. I thought it looked really good on her.
She also painted differently than I feel like I've ever seen her.
It was very feminine and soft.
It was impressive to see her be able to like switch it up like that, because I thought it was very different, but also still really, really nice and soft.
Yeah.
And next on the runway was Kiara.
Honestly, I thought this was the best she's looked the whole season. She knew how to work it, really serving it for the judges. I think she looked amazing.
I agree. I think she looked incredible. The outfit was amazing. The makeup was beautiful as usual. Next up on the runway was Rita.
I did not like it at all. The silhouette was not there. I didn't like the hair. I don't know. What did you think?
I don't entirely disagree with you. It was a terrible silhouette and terrible hair, but it was also Celine in a very early moment in her career, which her hair and her silhouette was terrible. So I felt like it was kind of accurate to what Rita was trying to do.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's not the most flattering. Next on the runway was Jimbo. She was also giving a Paris Fashion Week look.
I have really, really not enjoyed Jimbo's runways at all this season. But this week, I was gladly surprised. The lace front eyebrows, ma'am, I see you coming in with that very natural moment. The makeup itself was not crunchy, which was very cute for me. I think that the outfit fit her very well. The hair was a good choice. To me, this was like such a good departure from the regular thing we see every single runway.
Next on the runway was Lemon giving the Oscars 1998 look.
I love it. She's been doing a lot of really like neon yellows. To do this like departure to that regal royal blue is such a good contrast for her. I do agree that maybe her body should have been more shapely, like corset, maybe a bit more padded. But I think overall, she looked very good.
I thought she looked pretty, but it seemed like a weird choice because it wasn't very ostentatious. Next on the runway was Alona serving her Celine collection launch look.
I loved everything but the shorts. The shorts were giving me mad diaper vibes.
I didn't love it only because to me it didn't read as Celine. Like we saw the reference picture, and yes, she was giving that similar outfit in kind of like a monochromatic look. I think she needed to do a regular Celine sort of hair. The pink hair really threw me off. It read more like sort of like a Nicki Minaj look or something like that. So it comes down to the decisions on the runway, and Alona and Scarlett are safe. And then the critiques for the other girls come around. For Boa, they thought her makeup looked great, that she had too much fringe, which we talked about before, and that she held back in the Snatch game.
I think like that character is very hard to do without making it offensive. So I feel like I understand why she was so timid and like didn't really want to go there and push it.
Maybe that's not the character to choose. You have to be able to be willing to go full tilt.
Go there.
If you have any reservations about that, maybe it's not the right character. The next critique was for Kiara. Jeffrey mentioned that she was very confident with her choice of Mariah Carey when he did the walkthroughs, but she's hard to make funny.
Same as Beyonce, Lady Gaga, like these characters are just too iconic, too big of divas to make them funny on Snatch Game. Like just leave them alone, don't do it.
But they did think she looked gorgeous on the runway, aside from the ponytail, which they did not love. The next critique was for Rita. They were wondering what she was gonna do next. Everything about Edith Piaf, they were like, okay, and now what? Because she was so in it. Next up being critiqued was Jimbo. They thought that Jimbo was great at doing Joan Rivers.
I think that she was funny playing off the other characters on the panel. Like I think she did a very good job of working with others.
And they also loved her runway.
I think that was great. Give me more of that.
Next up for the critiques was Lemon. They loved her JoJo Siwa, but they felt like she needed more personality on the runway. They feel like she hasn't been showing herself on the runway.
Yeah.
They also talked about her body shape. They wanted to see her more cinched, more padded. They wanted to see more curve. especially because the dress was so simple. And this is something that I mentioned last week, and she's not really giving us shape. Next to be critiqued, Priyanka. She gave them 2 looks on the runway, which Brooke said either one of those looks would have sold me, but her Miss Cleo did not go over very well.
I just felt like she was too quiet. I feel like I didn't hear from her like at all.
She's also not a wallflower. She's a person that stands out, says her mind. None of that came through in the Snatch Game, which was really disappointing.
None of it at all. Like, I was so shocked.
So the girls go back into the workroom where they find Scarlett and Alona just having a quick little nap.
I mean, they're there for like 13, 14 hours taping a day. Girl, yeah, I'm napping too.
Kiara says that they were not loving her and she expects she's gonna be in the bottom, but Kiki wanna fight.
When you're really faced with that, like, you're going home and $100,000 is on the line and this is in front of the entire country, the entire nation's gonna watch you lose. Like, that like lights fire under your ass and you're like, I've gotta give it my all. I have no choice but to really lay it all out on the line here.
And then they asked Miss Cleo if she has a vision of what's gonna happen, and Lemon says, no, she doesn't. They go back to the runway and Jimbo is announced as the winner of the challenge. Jimbo's first win for the season.
I think she deserved this week. I honestly do.
And the bottom 2 are Kiara and Priyanka. They were asked to prepare a lip sync of Celine Dion's I Drove All Night.
Both of those girls were not messing around when it came to staying because they want that money.
Yeah, I felt the drive from both of them. I drove all night, punny. I felt the drive from both of them in the lip sync. Yeah. Kiara, I feel like, was throwing everything at it. Whereas I think Priyanka was giving a bit more balance in the performance in terms of she was giving kind of moments where she was just really emoting to the judges, and then she was giving moments where she was doing like tricks and things as well.
Priyanka knows. She's smart.
They both did a great job, to be honest with you. I thought it was like fairly close.
I think that would have been a great week to do a double save, because I think that lip sync, they were trying their hardest. Like, they were both giving it so hard.
But unfortunately, that is not what happened. As it turns out, Priyanka gets the Shantae You Stay, and unfortunately for Kiara, it is Sashay Away. Canada's Drag Race is delivering every week, and they did it again this week.
I loved it. It was so good.
That brings us to the end of the episode, but be sure to come back on Wednesday because we are going to have a profile and performance from our drag artist co-host of the week, Nicki Nastasia. Thanks so much for watching Quick Drag. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit the subscribe button over there, click on our social media links in the description below, and be sure to come back on Wednesday for a profile and performance by Nicki Nastasia.